Hey family, what's up? Took a second to stop by Pro Caliber Motorsports here in Vancouver. Local Honda, Sea-Doo, Can-Am, Yamaha, Suzuki, everything shop. I don't know if I don't think they have Suzukis here. Anyway, I think they got everything else. BMW, Indian. They're a pretty big shop. So I was sitting here and I was thinking the other morning about just about riding in general, and as a personal thing. See, I haven't had a car in coming up to 2 years now. I've ridden exclusively full time. There was a couple weeks last year, about 3 weeks, when my son was out fishing, that he left me his car when it got kind of icy here. And ice is the game changer. Once the roads ice up, being on a bike's no bueno. But that was literally only about 3 weeks. What it kind of made me think of was just the ritual that I know I go through when it pertains to riding. So whenever I'm about to go riding, whether it's in the morning, when I'm getting ready for work, or going out to meet some friends, or going out on a ride by myself, kind of like today, there's kind of this ritual that you go through. I do anyway. It's just kind of more of a mental thing than anything, but there's this thing that happens to me when I know I'm going to ride. When I'm getting dressed and putting my boots on and figuring out what I'm going to wear for the day, taking a look at what the weather's going to be so that I can, mentally get my head around that. The whole thing, and there's just kind of a mental shift that happens when I ride a motorcycle as opposed to when I go jump in a car. When I jump in a car, there's no preparation for it. There's no anything. You just kind of get in it. Usually your brain's not even switched all the way on. And I'm not saying that people who are car enthusiasts, or when you're driving certain kinds of cars, whether it's a high performance car or whatever, I'm sure that aligns a little bit more with how I feel when I get on my bike. But I'm talking about just your generic everyday going out and getting groceries and running errands and doing whatever in a car, because you're not as connected to what's going on around you. You're in your little warm, safe bubble, and it really doesn't matter if it's windy out, because you don't feel it. And it doesn't matter if it's warm, because you just switch on the air conditioner. And it doesn't matter if it's cold, because you just turn on your heated seats and your heater and drink your Starbucks. But everything about riding a motorcycle is more involved. There's a more tactile sensation. You're not driving it, you're riding it. So your legs are around it and you feel it. You feel it's alive. You feel the vibration of it. When you turn it, you don't just turn a wheel and it goes there. You have to, input into the controls what you want it to do, how far you want it to lean over. The brakes are independent of each other on most bikes. So how much front brake you're using, how much back, you're shifting it through the gears. You're actually thinking about what's going on with the road surface in a way that in a car you're not. These little tiny little potholes or little divots and stuff like that. You're up close and personal with them, and they have an effect on what's going on with you. And the other part of it too is just that when I ride my motorcycle, so much of the other things in my life, things from my day, things from my job, just a lot of these other things kind of tend to just fall away because there's not room for them. There isn't room in your head when you're doing all these other things for these other things, and you're a lot more absorbed in the sensations, the feelings, the view is completely different. The feeling of the air running across you, the smells that you don't smell in a car, whether it's restaurants or whether it's the car ahead of you that's burning dirty, or you go by that construction site and you smell the tar from the roofers and you just smell so much. It's a very, very, very different sensation. And I think, for some people, it would probably be too much. I think that's why some people get on a bike and they're like, yeah, that whatever, and I don't ever want to do that again. And I think that there are people that, they do it and they become completely switched on, which is what happened to me. The first time I ever rode anything that resembled a motorcycle, I was in second grade. And I rode a lawnmower engined mini bike that for a brake had a lever that you pushed down, and there was a steel paddle that went up against the back tire, and that's what slowed it down. And I remember the throttle didn't work. It was actually a string that was tied from the carburetor to the handlebar, and you kind of stuck your thumb out onto the string and pulled it to pull the little butterfly open on the carburetor and made it go. And man, I'm gonna tell you what, when I rode that thing, something woke up in me, and all I could think about was getting to do it again. And just the sensation of being in control of that power and being able to go where you wanted, it changed me forever. Like, I never got over it. I'm still not over it. I'm 49 years old and I'm still not over it. I still get just as excited when I'm going through my little ritual to get on my bike and to go ride it. Whether it's, on some epic, beautiful ride out, in the mountains, or whether it's riding across town to go pay a bill or to pick something up for dinner. It just doesn't get old to me. I don't have a car right now. Out here, eventually I'm going to have to get one for the worst times of the year. But it's not anything that I really desire, because it's probably going to be a piece of crap, because it's probably going to be something that I don't really care about. It might be decent, whatever, but it's just going to be something that the vast majority of the time sits. I'll fire it up once a week or so to probably go grocery shopping and make it a little easier. And that's the other thing that happened to me when I spent those weeks driving, my son's car, was I didn't really feel like I was as switched on. I felt like it made me lazy. When you ride a motorcycle day in and day out, especially in a place where the weather varies as much as it does here, there's some struggle involved in it. There's a little bit. There's just things you have to figure out. Like I said, you have to look at the weather and figure out, hey, what's going on today, and you got to figure that out. You gotta, if you're going to the store, you got to figure out what it is that you're going to get, because you can't just load it up like you do in a car. You can't just throw a bunch of crap in the cart and be like, yeah, take this home, because you might not have room for it. There's just a lot of little processes, a lot of things that you have to think out. And I I don't know, for me, for myself, and I can only speak for myself, this is my choice, you know, I think I'm better for it. So, anyway, that's what I was thinking about today, you guys, and if you have any input or anything you'd like to share about your experience or any questions that you have about how I do it or any comments, hey man, just, you know, put it down in the comments. All right, y'all, be blessed. I'll talk to you soon.